If you drop water onto untreated cotton or silk, you see the material's primary characteristic in action. The microscopic fibers act like tiny sponges, pulling the liquid outward in every direction. This makes multi-stage dyeing difficult to control. If you add yellow dye, then submerge the fabric in blue, the fibers blend the two liquids into green. Add a third color, like red, and the result is a saturated, muddy brown. For an artist, the challenge is clear. You are trying to create sharp, multicolored patterns on a medium designed to absorb and mix every liquid it touches. Because traditional dyeing is an inherently additive process, achieving isolated, crisp colors requires a way to physically stop the fabric from drinking in the next round of dye. The technique of batik manages this by leaning into a fundamental rule of chemistry. Oil and water aggressively repel each other. This is the resist principle. By applying hot liquid wax directly to the cloth, artists create a hydrophobic or water-fearing shield. Once the wax hardens, water-based dyes simply cannot reach those protected fibers. This barrier changes the nature of the craft. It turns dyeing into a strategic, active process of blocking out space layer by layer. To place that wax with precision, artists use a traditional pen-like tool called a chanting or canting. A small metal reservoir on the tool holds the molten wax, which flows out through a fine spout. This allows the artist to draw delicate, flowing lines that stay exactly where they are placed. For larger backgrounds or broader patterns, the fine spout is replaced with brushes or sponges, allowing the artist to quickly seal off entire sections of the cloth. The wax itself is a specific chemical blend. Artists combine soft, flexible beeswax, which grips the fibers without flaking, with brittle paraffin wax. Mastering the technique requires total control over both the physical movement of the tools and the specific behavior of the wax mixture. Once the design is set, the dyeing begins according to a strict chronological rule. The fabric must move sequentially from the lightest dye colors to the darkest. In Phase 1, the artist addresses the whites. Any wax applied directly to the bare, washed cloth will preserve that original fabric color through every subsequent dip. Next are the light colors. After a dip in yellow dye, the artist applies a second layer of wax over those newly yellow sections, effectively sealing that color into the fabric. Finally, the fabric enters the darks. A final submersion in a dye-like blue turns the unprotected areas deep green or navy, while the waxed sections remain untouched. Each application of wax acts as a physical shield, preserving a specific color state against the influence of every darker dye bath that follows. Before that final dark bath, artists often introduce a deliberate moment of destruction. They take the stiff, waxed fabric and intentionally crumple it. This pressure forces a reaction from the paraffin. Because it is brittle, the wax fractures into a network of tiny, interconnected fissures. These microscopic cracks allow the dark dye to seep through the barrier, creating thin, spider web-like veins that reach the lighter colors underneath. This crackle is the hallmark of authentic batik. It is the result of an artist deliberately compromising a chemical barrier to create an organic, unrepeatable texture. At the end of the dyeing process, the fabric is a stiff, heavy, dark mess. The design itself is completely buried under layers of built-up wax. To reveal the work, the fabric is submerged in boiling water. This heat melts the wax, causing the hydrophobic shield to lift away. As the wax dissolves, the finished piece emerges. The sharp contrast between the pure whites, the sealed lighter colors, and the dark crackled background is finally visible. Because the wax hides the underlying colors during the entire process, the true state of the artwork isn't known until this final step of melting it away. This technical process allows for deep cultural expression. Students can adapt traditional Ugandan symbols into these complex, repeating batik motifs, using layers of dye to create rich, textured artwork. The beauty of the final piece is also a reflection of its labor. This is a communal craft, often practiced in workshops where artists work collectively around a shared wax pot. Batik is ultimately an interplay of chemistry and timing, a process where every layer of wax is a strategic move to capture the light before the fabric is sent into the dark.